Hey RWS 305. My name's Carson. This is my assignment number 2, Civic Discourse Opinionated Piece. Um, Today I would like to talk about a little bit about energy efficiency in the environment and really just like the impending problems and things we're seeing that are going to potentially be just issues in the future. So when it comes to energy efficiency in the environment, we can look at it on a large scale or a smaller scale. First off, I'd like to talk about the smaller scale focus of it and how we can all make different choices in our everyday activities, just to mitigate the effects that we're seeing that have to do with greenhouse gases, climate change, and really just how we're changing the environment based off of our anthropogenic footprint or carbon footprint, really. So as I mentioned, these greenhouse gases, the largest one we're focusing on really today is CO2 and how we in neighborhoods and towns around the nation see just a huge increase in how much we burn and how much we're emitting. So some things we can do to mitigate this problem is just focus on burning less fossil fuels and looking towards more renewables. Around 79% of the US nation's energy is coming from fossil fuels, while the other 21% is really focused solely on renewables and nuclear. I'm going to share uh, some infographics with you. As we can see here, this is from University of Michigan, and they created this in a short web article where they talk about all different types of issues we see going on. But in the US, we can see that we have things come like nuclear renewables is only 29%, whereas coal, natural gas, and petroleum are a huge impact on our energy consumption. Secondly, we have what we're using these for. So really, I want to focus on transportation and residential and commercial uses. Industrial is going to be more large scale where we can't really do much as individuals to change this, but for transportation and residential, there's certain activities that we can focus on in order to bring this down a little bit. Also here's this again, this is just greenhouse gases. I mentioned that CO2 is the largest by a long run, 73% versus all these other ones, which are also equally as important, but let's focus on the big chunk of the pie as we're it's the biggest issue. This is my most important one, right, that I want to show you. As we can see, transportation, electric power up there with industry, and that's our focus of today's short presentation. Down here, we can see the use of a 100-watt light bulb, which is your typical light bulb for 10 houses, burns around 0.9 pounds of CO2. So you can imagine neighborhoods typically hold, let's say, 150 houses. So you're going to times that 0.9 pounds by way more than that. And when it comes to a town with multiple neighborhoods, this number increases drastically. As for cars, a normal typical car driven 1 mile is 0.6 pounds of CO2, and an SUV is going to be 0.86 for a pound. So solutions to this is maybe just when you're at home, be aware of keeping your lights on in rooms that you're not really in. There's no reason to keep running that power, and it also could help you by bringing down your power bill. Same with cars. We use them because they're nice to have a car to go anywhere. But if you're going to just the grocery store or maybe just any type of day-to-day chore, a lot of times we can reach those places in other ways, such as maybe ride a bike, take a walk. Public transportation is always an option. It's just everything's at hand nowadays in such a close proximity. So that's a couple things I want to touch on with that. And now, before we end, I just want to talk about the larger scale of things and how by doing these small day-to-day individual activities and like mitigating the effects of them, we're able to almost create a collective movement in areas that could turn into a sort of domino effect. This domino effect in part could lead to people putting the problem on the map, and towns and counties maybe putting something on the ballot that we can vote for that in turn would lead to maybe statewide, nationwide changes in this area. And by doing this, we benefit the whole economy. And who knows, maybe one day the full scale national movement can move to a global movement. And there have been policies in the past, such as the Kyoto Protocol and all these other regulations put on by the United Nations to work on this. But we got to go to the root of the problem, which starts with us. And if you really care about future generations and really our well-being of life right now too, it's time to make a change. So consider it, and yeah, let's make a change in the world. Thank you guys.